Good afternoon, everyone. So, we are going to start with our next lecture. In the previous lectures, we have seen the introduction to the data structure. We have seen various data structure and their real life applications, like where the linked lists are used, where the yes, good afternoon. Okay, where the arrays are used, what is the real life example of your graphs data structure, and we have also seen, yes, good afternoon, everyone. So we have also seen the what do you mean by algorithm? What are the types of analysis of the algorithm, like post priority analysis, priority analysis? Good afternoon, Isha. Okay, and we have also seen the asymptotic notations. And now I'll start with the next topic. Let me share my PPT with you. It will take a minute. Yes, um, you can see my PPT. It's just getting uploaded. Okay. In this lecture, we'll start with the algorithm part. We would be looking at the various algorithm of each data structure and what are the time complexity of each algorithm. So we'll start with arrays today. While my PPT gets uploaded, I just want to recap everything regarding array. Array is not a structure that allows you to save similar type of elements in a contiguous memory location. Okay, and there is a term of base address linked with the arrays. Okay, so we would be covering the concept of we would be covering the course outcome, that is first course outcome of our subject, and in this we would be learning that the concept of arrays, and we would be looking at the algorithms of various operations that can be performed on array. Like the various operations that can be performed on array are, just a second. So the algorithms that operations that can be performed on any array are, we have already seen that any so there is operation of traversal. There what, let me see, my stylus is not working. Just stop working. Okay. The second operation that can be performed in on any data structure is insertion. Third data operation that can be performed is deletion, and any other operation is searching. We have already seen the concept of searching in array. What are the two type of searching that we have done? That is the linear search and binary search. So we won't be covering it again. We have already covered it in depth in your lab session, so we won't be covering it again. What can be the other operation? That is sorting, and the sixth one is merging. So these are the operations that can be performed on any data structure. So we would be looking at the operations that are related to arrays, and will look at the algorithms related to this. Okay, so we would be looking at the basic terminology, then we'll see what are the arrays, linear arrays, how they are represented in memory, how we traverse them, how we insert and delete from the array, what is the searching, linear, binary, and what are the multidimensional array and how they are represented in the memory. So we'll see that. So as we have already seen that array is nothing but it is a linear organization of your data at a contiguous memory location. If this is your memory, the data would be stored at contiguous memory location. It won't be scattered in the memory. If I have numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, They are stored at a contiguous memory location. And we have also seen that the concept of direct access in arrays, we can directly access any element present in the array. Direct access, actually what happens at the back end, this formula is computed. Yes, indexing is done. Anubhav, base address, we have already seen this, multiply plus width of each cell multiplied by the location, or you can say the index whose location is to be found, minus lower bound. Okay, so k is the location of the index whose address is to be found. Okay, uh, let's see how the arrays are represented. If I have an array which is a two-dimensional array, and the first value represents the row, the second value represents the column. Ma'am, please give me formula again. Please show me formula again. See the representation. Fine. I think I have added that formula. I've not added it in the slide. I'll show it on the whiteboard. Just wait. The formula says, see, the formula is LOC of A of K, that is the kth location of the kth index of array A is given by base address plus the width of each cell multiplied by K minus lower bound. This is the base address. This is the width of each cell, that is the space taken by each value, width of each cell, and k is the location whose index of the location whose location has to be found. Let us say I am searching for a of 5, means I want to assess a of 5. So what I will be doing, I will be looking for the location of a fifth element. So my k becomes 5 over here. Okay, so k is what? It is the index, and lower lb is the lower bound. Let's take an example. If this is your array, if this is your array, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 40, 50 and 60. Let us say this is at position 200. The second one will be definitely at 202 if w is equal to 2. Then third one will be stored from 204 to 206. Then 206 to 208. Then 208 to 210. Then is 210 to 212. Now let us say I want to find the location address of A of 5. The formula is base address is 200 plus width of each cell. I have considered it to be of 2 bytes. What is k? K is 5. Now assume that the indexes are from 1. So what would be the lower bound? Lower bound is the 1. So 200 plus 2, 5 minus 1 is 4, 2 multiplied by 4, that is 208. 4 into 2 is 8. So 208, look at the fifth index. It is actually starting from 208. So we directly jump to, if I write a of 5, actually I directly jump to that particular index, but at the back end what happens, this formula is used. Am I clear? Anubhav? Okay, fine. Let us move to our PPT now. So we have seen, if I talk about two-dimensional array, what are two-dimensional arrays? The arrays which are stored in the form of matrices. You might have seen this in your BTech also. What happens is, matrix is nothing but a representation in the form of rows and columns. Now if I say, initially I was looking at this. This is just declaring the array of type integers with the name of the array is A and the size of array is 5. So this is what, this is a one-dimensional array where the dimension is single one. Okay, or you can visualize it like this, that this is an array with 5 columns and single row and column, right, Anubhav? And when I have to declare a two-dimensional array, let us say int a 5 comma 3. It means that I am having array of integers and the name of the array is A, and number of rows in my array would be 5 and number of columns would be 3. So it would look like this. Let me just give you the, it would look like this. So number of rows were 5 cross 3 was your array. So number of rows would be 5. If I take it from 1, so it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and number of columns are 3. So I take it from 1, 2, 3. Now if I talk about this particular element, its index would be 2. What is the intersection value of row and column? This is the second row and second column. If I talk about this particular column, it is the third row and third column, right? If I talk about this one, it would be the fifth row, 5, comma 3. Yes, Tanu, right. Right, Anubhav. And if I talk about memory, I may ask you. Okay, I'll run a quick poll over here. Just a second, and then you have to answer that. Okay, your poll starts now. The question is you have to answer what would be the number of bytes taken by this particular array, and if the single element of the array takes 2 bytes, what would be the memory requirements for this particular array uh, in bytes? Yes, 2 have given the wrong answer. 7 have given the wrong answer. Still 13 have not responded. Respond quickly. Akash, Anila, Anubhav, Hardik, Hilary. Hardik has responded now. Pooja, Rajiv. So I'm stopping the poll. I said the compiler takes 2 bytes for each cell. So the answer for this poll was yes, it is 80. Let me just give you the calculation. See, there were 5 cross 8. Means how many? First of all, tell me how many elements would be there? 5 rows and 8 columns. It means 5 multiplied by 8 would be the number of elements, that is 40. And if one element takes 2 bytes, 40 elements will take 2 into 40, that is 80 bytes. So the answer was 80 bytes. Okay. Those who have given the wrong answer, yes, Chavi, the answer is 80 bytes. Okay. So let me move further. We have seen this. The indexing in case of C++ or C, the indexing starts from 0. The indexing of the array starts from 0 and it goes up to n minus 1 if there are n elements in the array. Okay. Array can hold multiple values but of same type. They cannot be of different type. Okay. Whereas there is an exception to the array in Python. There is one data structure called list. We'll look at it later on. But for now, you must know that array must have similar type of values and each element has a value. Indexing starts at 0 as you know, and all the elements are at a contiguous memory location. If the elements will not be at the contiguous memory location, the direct indexing is not possible. That's why since the elements are in contiguous memory location, that's why the array gives you the direct access. अगर array के elements अलग अलग जगह पे होंगे, if they are scattered in the memory, they cannot be directly accessed. So this is what makes arrays have the direct access. Name of the array holds, yes, you know that the base address is the starting address of the array and it is contained in the name of the array. If I have an array A, if I write C out A actually I will be given what I would be given the base address of the array. Okay. So the name of the array actually holds the address of the first array element, and that is nothing but the base address. Okay. Shreya, it won't be 80. I think she has some. Shreya, you are answering to the previous question. So if in our example, if it was 200, yes, it would be a hexadecimal address. If I write Cout A in our previous example, the output would be 200 because the base address was 200. In C or C++, in C, the memory allocation of methods, there are few memory allocation methods that can be used for allocation of the memory. In C++, we have new and delete operator. We'll see it later on when we will be looking at the implementation part of the data structure. Okay, the advantage of arrays, it gives you the fast access. Why it gives you the fast address? The answer is with you now. Okay, and it is impossible to resize. Obviously, you must have prior knowledge of the size. You must have prior knowledge. Okay, if I do not know how many elements are to be stored in the array, I cannot have the array. Okay, why prior knowledge is required? Because while declaring an array, you give the data type, you give the name, and you also mention the size. If you do not know this size, your array will never be allocated with the memory. So you must know the size, and you must, if you do not know, you have to estimate the size. And if you feel if you have underestimated the size, then your array may not be able to store more number of values if you want to store. And the solution to that would be you need to you need to resize your array and recompile your program, and now the array would be given the memory somewhere else in the main memory. Okay, now if the array you have kept it to be oversized, then the memory wastage would happen. If I say I have array of 2000 integers, it means I would be allocated 4000 bytes of memory if it is 2 bytes. And let us say I'm only storing 100 numbers in this array. How much wastage would be there? It would be 2000 minus 100. It comes out to be 1900 multiplied by 2. It comes out to be 19 twos are, yes, 3800 bytes of memory would be wasted. Okay, yes. So that is why you should not have always oversize your array. You should keep the size of array, optimal value should be there. Okay. So prior knowledge of the size should be there. If you do not know the actual size, keep the optimal size, not too less and not too large. Okay. And what type of array, what type of memory allocation is done by array? It follows the concept of static memory allocation. By static memory means once allocated will not be changed. See, when you write int A5, the compiler compiles a program, the memory is allocated to the array at the compile time. Since the memory is allocated at the compile time, we call it is a static memory allocation. It is not, it will not allow the array to expand or shrink automatically. Okay. Whereas in linked list, your memory requirements are dynamic in nature. When you feel that you require more memory, you will acquire it. If you do not require the memory, you will give it back to the free pool. So that is what you mean by the static memory and the dynamic memory. And the main disadvantage for the arrays is if you are asked in terms of memory allocation, the disadvantage is it follows static memory. That's why they are not considered to be good. Okay. In C and C++ both. Yes. Okay. Now coming to the operational part of arrays. Before moving on, I would like to share my whiteboard. Okay. See, I've already said that the very first operation is traversal. Traversal means visiting each element once. Okay, if there are 5 elements in your array, you will traverse each element once. That means traversal. If I say this is my array and these are the values, let us say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and the indexes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, see, I have to traverse means I have to first look at this value or read this value or print this value or whatever operation you can perform with the value. So I will look at first 10, then I have to visit 20, then I have to assess 30, then I have to assess 40, and then I have to assess 50, and I have to stop then. So what is my starting point? I am starting from index 1 and I am going up to which index? 5. Or you can say that I am starting from lower bound and I am going up to upper bound. Am I right? So you have to reach every index, and on that every index you have to perform the assessing of that particular element present at that particular index. Now let us say if I have to traverse this, I have to write an algorithm for this. The very first step would be I will use a counter variable or a variable that will help me move from 1 to 5. So I will set my I is equal to 1, or you can say I can set my I is equal to lower bound. Then what is my task? I have to repeat some steps till what I have to repeat? Till I is less than equal to low upper bound. Till my I does not reaches upper bound, I have to repeat few steps. What are those steps now? I'll number how many steps I have to repeat it later on. What are the steps? I have to reach a particular index, and then what I have to do? I have to process the element present over there. So I will process the element. If the name of my array is A, I will process A of ith element. Means initially I is 1. Now I would be processing A of I, that is I have processed 10. Now what is the second step now? I have to advance. So I have to update my I by I is equal to I plus 1. Then once I reach this index, I have to again process it. Means these are the two steps that are to be repeated till what? Till I cross the upper bound, till I reach the upper bound. So I have to repeat step number 3 and 4. Okay, you have processed each element, move on to the next element, and you will keep on doing this till your I becomes equal to this. Once it becomes greater than this, you have to stop and your loop will come out at number 5. And what is the step number 5? You will simply exit. Am I clear? We are looking at the algorithm for traversing the array. Okay, great, fine. Yes, everybody has responded. Fine. Fine. Great. So I am moving to my PPT now so that you can understand the algorithm. It would be now easier for you to understand the algorithm. So this is your algorithm. See, data is nothing but the name of your array. Okay. So your K is nothing. The K is nothing but I, which I was talking about. I have taken I, you can take any variable A, B, C, K, anything. So K has been initialized to the lower bound, okay? Or you can simply do K is equal to 1, you can initialize in any. See, the initialization is like this, okay? Then you have to repeat step number 3 and 4 as we have seen. What is the step number 3? You have to process the element. What is the step number 4? You have to advance the index to the next position, okay? And you will keep on repeating that till your K is less than lower bound, sorry, upper bound. Till your K does not becomes greater than 5, you have to keep on repeating. Now you process what? You process the data of kth element, means name of your array and the index. Initially your array is, let us say, A and your K is 1. So it will assess A of 1. then it will assess A of 2, then it will assess A of 3 and so on till what? If there are 5 elements, once it assesses A of 5, it will not further go and your this condition becomes false and it will come out of the loop and it will simply exit. I think it's clear. Okay. Now if I give you one problem, count, great, count the number of elements in array. If I say that you have to write an algorithm to count the number of elements in the array, what your step would be? Very first step, you have to start from the very first index. So I set k is equal to lower bound, or you can say k is equal to 1. Then second step would be repeat steps 3 and 4 till what? Till your k remains less than equal to upper bound. You have to do what? Since you are going to count the number of elements in the array, I'm just giving you the example how to write the algorithm. Now, when I'm talking about counting the number of elements in the array, I have to assess each element and then add it to my count variable. Initially, my count would be 0. Once I assess this, my count becomes 1. Then I assess this, count becomes 2. Then I assess this, count becomes 3. Then I assess this, count becomes 4. And I assess the last one, count becomes 5. And my loop crosses the upper bound. And now I will stop. And in the end, count would be the number of elements in my array. So that is what I'll do. I will also set over here, count is equal to 0. Yes. Initially, you start from 1, you go till the upper bound. Every time within the loop, you increment the count is equal to count plus 1. Okay. Once you do count plus 1, what you have to do? What is the next step? Now you have to advance your k is equal to k plus 1. This will keep on executing till you do not reach the upper bound. Once you reach the upper bound, you will come out of the loop and you will exit, and before exiting you can print count. Okay, so this is simple enough. Is that thing okay? Okay. Next is the concept of insertion in the array. Right. Now let us see what is insertion. First of all, what do you mean by insertion? Adding something. Okay. Adding something is insertion. Now let us say this is my array. Yes, exactly. See, when I talk about adding, I must have memory for it to be added. So I take that my array still have a space for the element to be added. Or you can say, I have declared the array to be of size 10. What do you take? In previous question, because count is equal to count plus 1. Anubhav, I couldn't get you. Yes. Yes, Anubhav, shall I make you presenter? In previous, lower bound was 0. Yes, yes. See, it is up to you. You consider lower bound to be 0 or you consider the lower bound to be 1. Count would be incremented. Yes, yes, right. See, I forgot to discuss the complexity. What would be the complexity of traversing an array? You are starting from 0 index. You are going up to n minus 1 index. So how many comparisons or how many operations? It is of the order of n. Okay. Right, right, right. Exactly. So the complexity would be of the order of n. Okay. Now we'll be discussing something very important, which is another disadvantage of array as compared to linked list. See, now I'm talking about insertion in the array, and insertion can only happen when you have the space for the new element to be added. Now we have to shift, right, Binay? You have to shift. So if let us say I have 10 elements, but I have only added 5 elements in my array. Array size is 10, but I am adding only the 5 elements, and the elements are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Now there are spaces for the array. Let me just draw it in a better way. See, Anand, I'll just make you present it. Wait a second. Suppose this is my array and I assume that it starts from 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, Anand has to say something. Yes, Anand, you can speak.
नो मैम वो गलती से क्लिक हो गया सॉरी मैम
Okay, not a problem. Okay, so these are the numbers that are present in your array, and I want to insert the new element, let us say 15. So 15 is the item that is to be inserted. Okay, clear? Before moving on to this, I'll just ask you people, when you people are standing in a line, if someone has to add to the line at the end, he will simply join you. Otherwise, if you people are over here, let us say Anila is in the last, then is Anirudh, then is Anmol, then is Anupam, and then is Avneet. Okay, someone has to join. Let us say Chavi has to join at this position. What will happen? Anila, before Chavi can join, Anila will move a step back. Then Anirudh will move and take the position of Anila. And then Anmol will move backward and take the position of Anirudh. And then now the vacancy has been created for Chavi. And now Chavi can join. This is what the exact procedure is. Similarly, when I say, let us say I have to insert, let me change the color. Okay, so I want to insert 15 at this position, which is the highlighted one. Means if I say that I have to insert the 15 at kth position and my k is equal to 2. Okay, so k indicates the position where the element is to be inserted, and item is the value that is to be inserted. Okay, there are one is the item variable that signifies or that contains the value that is to be inserted, and there is another value called k, which is the index of the new element to be inserted. कहाँ पर insert होना है, where the new element has to be inserted. Okay, now I will start from the last position. I have to start from the last position. I will move 50 to take a position above. Actually, I'm starting from last position. Obviously, to keep a track of every location, I will start J from which position? Nth position. Why nth? Because I'm starting from the last position. What I have to do is, now I have to move, if my name of the array is A, what I will do is A of J will go to A of J plus 1. See, the assignment is always from this to this. So what is A of J? J is n. What is, or you can say J is 5. N is nothing but 5. What is A of 5? A of 5 goes to A of 6. That means that A of 5 is 50 goes to A of 6 means 50 comes over here. Now since 50 has been copied to a position above, now it can be overwritten. Now what you have to do is J will be reduced by 1. Now J was actually n. Now it would be reduced by 1 means it would be 4. Now A of J goes to A of J plus 1 again. So what is A of J? A of 4 goes to A of 5. Now A of 5 can be overwritten with A of 4. What is A of 4? 4 goes to A of 5. That is A of 4 is 40. 40 goes and take the position over here. Now it can be overwritten. Okay. Now 30 will again j gets decremented by 1, j becomes 3 now. Now a of j goes to a of j plus 1, a of 3 goes to a of 4. Okay, what is a of 330? It goes over here. Now this can be overwritten because it has already been copied over here. Now j becomes decremented by 1. A of j means a of 2 goes to a of 3. So what is a of 2? 20 goes over here. That becomes this. Now since it has already been copied, everyone has taken the position. Now since your j has reached what? Since your j has reached, j is equal to k. J has reached the second position where the insertion has to be done. Now after this, you will simply do a of k, the position where the element was supposed to be added. A of k is equal to item. A of k is a of 2. What is item 15? A of 2 will now contain 15 and now the element has been added. And what is the next step? Earlier we were having 5 elements. N was equal to 5. Now n will be increased to 5 plus 1. New element has been added. So n has become 6. Am I clear? Okay. Okay, fine. Now let us move to our PPT and see what the algorithm says. See, this is the algorithm. Obviously, LA is the name of your array, N is the number of elements in the array, K is the index where the item has to be inserted, and item is the value that is to be inserted. So there are three things. K is the index where the new insertion has to be done. There is a value called item that is to be inserted. N is the number of elements, and LA is nothing but the name of your array. Okay, since you are going to start with j is equal to n, why? Because we started from, if this was my array, I moved the last element which was 50 to above level. So I started from j is equal to n, initial last element of the array. Okay, and then what you have to do till you reach that particular index that where the insertion has to be done, what you will do? You will do LA of j means, or you can say a of j goes to a of j plus 1. Every element is moving a step upward. Okay, and once it has moved step upward, you are reducing j to j minus 1. These are the two steps that are to be repeated. Let me just erase it. See, what we are repeating are these steps. So these are the two steps that we are repeating. Every time what is happening is 50, 40, 30, 20 and so on. Every time this moves upward, the index becomes over here. This move upwards, index come over here, j comes over here. Then moves upward, j comes over here. Until what? The j will keep on decrementing till your j is keeps on greater than k. The moment it becomes less than k, it will not move the updation. It will not move the elements up. Okay, and once it is done, after you are out of the loop, the kth position is empty. Now you can insert the item by doing item goes to L of k, and now the number of elements in the array have been increased by 1, and then your algorithm would stop. Any doubt till now? You can simply raise your hand if you have any doubt. Great. So everything is clear. Okay, fine. So we have done the insertion part also. Arnav wants to say something. Yes, Arnav, you can speak.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. Ma'am, I wanted to
Good
ask
afternoon.
where you have written j is greater than equal to k, ma'am. Then we are inserting the item at the kth position. So isn't j should be greater than k, not equal to?
See, I'll just answer this query. See what happens every time. Let me just. If this is your array, 20, 30, 40, 50. See, J was here. So we moved it upward. Now J is over here. See, we have to move the kth element also upward. So we have to reach k. Otherwise, k element present originally present at the kth index will be overwritten by the item. If I do not, I just skip this step. I remove this equal to. So j will stop over here. Let us say this is my 5, 4, 3. Suppose k was 2. So j is 3. J is equal to 3 means 30 will move upward. So 20 will never move upward, and the next statement will override 20 with the new value, that is 15, and 20 would be lost forever. So we have to देखो अगर आपने यहाँ एक स्टूडेंट A है, यहाँ B है, यहाँ C है, यहाँ D है, यहाँ E है, तो सबको एक, अगर D से आगे यहाँ पर एक नया स्टूडेंट ऐड करना है तो A को भी ऊपर जाना है, फिर B को भी ऊपर जाना है, C को भी जाना है और D को भी जाना है. Am I right? So D तक मेरा पॉइंटर जाएगा तभी मैं ऊपर जाऊंगी ना. Okay, fine Arnav. Okay, so we cannot you can say omit equal to, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so this algorithm is clear. Shall we move for the deletion part? Okay, there is one algorithm, or you can say the problem, again the same problem that we have seen earlier. There is an automobile company which has the keeps a record in the name auto array. Array name is auto, and it is keeping the records from 1932 to 1984. Find the number of years for which there were more than 300 automobiles sold. So can you write the algorithm for this? See, let me share my whiteboard. There is a company named who has created a array called auto. This is the array that is named as auto, and it starts from 1932 and it goes up to 1984, and it is storing the number of automobiles stored in each year. Let us say the number of automobiles stored in 1932 was 200, and in the consequent year 1933 it was 500, and so on. So there are records of every year's sold number of vehicles. Now you have to count the number of years for which the sale was greater than 300. So what can be the algorithm? Just moving on to the algorithm now. See, this is the algorithm. You will start from, you can say it is simply as count variable. I have taken count variable here. The user has taken number variable. Okay. And now from where you will go up to till what point? K will initialize from 1932 and it will go up to 1984. And every time, if the value stored at auto of K means auto is the name of array and K is the index of that array. Auto of K, it will give the 1932, the number of vehicles stored in 1932. Let us say it is 200. So my number will not get incremented by 1 because it is not the required number of vehicles sold. Then it becomes 1933. So I will be checking if the auto value is greater than 300. If this is true, then this statement would be executed and the number of vehicles, number of items would be increased by 1. Is it clear? Am I clear? Is this algorithm clear? You are starting from, you can say that you have taken a count variable to be 0 and you are starting from, you can say 1932 going up to 1984. Every time you are checking if A of I or A of K is greater than 300, increase the number of elements by 1, otherwise it will not increase. Is that okay? Okay, fine. So in any case you have doubt, you can ask, raise your hand, otherwise we'll wind up the lecture over here. So today we have seen what are arrays, how they are stored in memory, and we have seen the advantages of that. We have seen the traversal algorithm and complexity of that, and we have seen the array for the algorithm for the insertion in the array at a particular index. Okay, fine. So shall I wind up the lecture over here? Okay, fine. See you in the next lecture on Wednesday.